Good afternoon, friends. This is Dennis Miracle. Today I'm going to be working on the Angelique purse, and I just wanted to show you the items you needed to make that purse. You need 2 pieces of fabric for the front, corresponding or complementary fabric to each other. So I've got 2 pieces here, cut 7 by 11. You need a piece for the back of the bag, cut 7 by 11. You need a couple pieces of lining fabric. Well, I'm doing something weird here. I'm sure you can, you're not surprised. I've got 2 pieces of fabric, and though they're different fabrics, I'm going to, well, I need to put the camera where you can see it. I'm going to use these pieces, cut 7 by, they're 7 by 11 roughly. This top one seems to be a bit bigger, but at least 7 by 11. They're going to be my lining fabric. You need 2 pieces of batting, and as usual I'm recycling and using this 2 pieces here, one cut 6 by 11 and one cut 7 by 11. This is something I was practicing on the quilting, the long arm, and it's actually 2 pieces of cotton and a piece of batting in between, but that'll work out fine. That's no problem. It'll just give the bag a little more of a presence to it. And you need one of these little, at least one of these little devices. It's just a key ring with a piece of grosgrain ribbon. I'm going to, and stapled at the top, a key ring in the center. I'm going to use this on the side of the bag so a wristlet type device can be attached to it. And then you need a zipper. Now this zipper here is extra long, considering the design is 6 by 10, 10 inches across. You need at least, I'd say, I'd go with a 12 or 14-inch zipper. 12 should be sufficient. And this one, I don't know, this is probably 18 inches, but it's what I had. That was somewhat near the color of the blue in the fabric, so that's what I'm using. And I think that's it. So let me go over and run the first step in the design, and I'll be right back. All right, getting back to the purse, the Angelique purse. Yeah, as you can see, I ran the tack down the first step, which outlines the bag itself and the area for the zipper. Now I'm going to take the zipper and place it. If you're using a number 3 zipper, a nylon zipper, this should fit perfectly in this space here. You can see there are 4 lines, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The inner 2 lines are where the stitching is going to take place in step 2. So use those to gauge. I mean, if it's a number 3 zipper, it should fit perfectly, as this one does. But if you're using something other than a number 3, just know that these 2 center lines are where the stitching will occur. So adjust your placement of whatever zipper you're using accordingly. So let me take and tape this down. And I'm almost out of tape. All right. And I always put one at the very edge in the center. And is this, can you see? Let me see. Yeah. And then one right here at this end here. And put this back in your machine and run step 2. And I'll be right back. All right, you can see that the tack down has occurred of the zipper. And I'm going to do 2 things. One, I got this tape here in the stitches, which I did not mean to do. I should have moved this farther. So I didn't have this tape over this, so that's something I know better to do, but all right, there's that. Let me pull this away. All righty. Okay. Problem fixed. And then another thing I'm going to do is this long tail on this thing annoys me. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. I don't have any. Where's some zippers? Scissors. All right, I'll just use these. All right, so that's taken care of. Okay, now let's turn our design over to the back of the hoop. I think hopefully that, okay. Grab your first piece of lining, which I'm going to use this piece here, put it face down, and that you, as you see, there are 4 lines. Take and place this piece of fabric edge to edge with this 4th line down. Make sure that you are okay on the sides, that you're going to be covered on both sides here. Right here are the stitch lines, so make sure that's going to be okay. And go ahead and take this down. And I tape it on both ends and a little piece in the center. All right. Okay, and now pick up your hoop and let this piece of lining fall over, part of it fall over here to the front of the hoop, and take your piece of lining and just fold it over a number of times and attach it here with a small piece of tape to the frame itself, because we need it to stay out of the way for a good number of steps. So now let me see what I'm going to use for the, okay, I think I'm going to use that. I'm going to use the first piece of the exterior front is going to be the piece that is going to be the bottom part, and the sides. That's the what you need to put down. Whatever fabric you want to use for the bottom down here. Is this even showing? I can't. Okay, down here. So anyhow, go ahead and do the same thing you did on the back. Tape it down. And tape it, as you can see, I'm right against the edge of the zipper, the bottom edge of the zipper, now that we can actually see the zipper. Alrighty. And now put this in your machine and stitch step number 3. All right, now let's, I finished number 3. Let's turn it over to the back, turn the hoop over and make sure that, yes, it did just fine. Sewed that down perfectly, and now on the front we can see that it's been sewn down perfectly. Now the next thing I need you to do is to take your smaller piece of batting, the one that you cut 6 by 11, whatever you're using for batting. This is what I'm using, as I explained earlier. Sometimes I'll use an old towel or a wash rag. I use all sorts of things. I'm use what's in my house, and then when I don't have that, I'll go and buy some real batting. But anyhow, take your piece of batting and then take this piece of fabric and fold it over, and take your iron and give it a press, because you want a nice crease at the top, and you want this to be taut. So there we are. Alrighty. Oh, got that piece of tape. And then the next thing you want to do is stick the design back in the machine, and it will sew what is basically a basting stitch to hold this down firmly, because we're going to start our satin stitching and quilting and such. So I like to have this, I like to know that it's held down securely. So let me do that and I'll be right back. All right, now take what's going to be your center, the center part of your design through this area here. And I'm using this beautiful Oriental inspired fabric, which is by Changa Wong for, I think it's Timeless Treasures. But it's a very beautiful fabric. So take that and let me see if there's one that has actually, let me use this other. This might show better. Okay. Place it down like you see where I have this placed because it's going to sew a line right here to hold it down, and then then it's going to sew other lines to tack it down. We're going to be doing some trimming soon. So go ahead and place it like you see I've placed it and stick it in the machine and run number 5. All right, you can see where I ran this tack down stitch just here at the top, right here where I'm pointing. And the next thing will be another tack down stitch for this fabric, and I'm going to put it back in the machine and let that occur. So be right back. All right, I might have misspoken earlier. I hope I didn't. You can see that this tack down stitch has occurred, and this is such a pretty design. I think I might have said there's going to be a second tack down, and if I did, I misspoke. But what we're going to do now is we're going to trim this design. We're going to trim across the top here, get rid of this top part, just trim as close to the stitches here as you can on the upper side of the stitches, and then trim down all around here, all the way around as I'm and you want to get rid of, we want to have the center part left. We don't want this part on the outside. So all of this part down here and around here, that needs to be gone. So take your best pair of applique scissors and get to work, and I'll meet you back here in a few minutes. All right, as you can see, I have done the trimming away of the fabric, and now I'm going to stick this in the machine, and it is going to do a satin stitch around this entire, all around this side, these sides down through here. Later on, it will do a satin stitch across the top, but not at this moment. So go ahead and put it in your machine and let that run, and I'll see you for the next step. All right, you can see that I have run, what was that, number 7, the satin stitching, and I thought that the satin stitching along the top here was going to come later, but it's actually the next step, step 8. So I'll put this back in the machine, and this raw edges right here will be covered with a satin stitch right along the top here. So let me go and do that, and I'll be right back. All right, now you can see I have the satin stitching has been completed. I think it looks very nice. The next 2 steps are going to be quilting for this interior part, and then quilting for this around the edges. So the next part is this interior part, step number 9, and I'm going to let it do the quilting in the gold, but then I'm going to change colors to green when it does this over the pinkish color. So anyhow, let me do the next step, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, I ran step 9, which did this quilting here in the top in this center section. I'm not sure I we do that again, I think it detracts from the beauty of the fabric. So anyhow, but that's just to show you what you can do. With different fabric, it would look really fantastic, I think, but I'm just not sure about with this fabric. The next thing, well, we'll do some quilting down here with some cross hatches around this area. And I don't have a matching back pattern for this quilting, but I do have a matching back. If you want to do cross hatching, I have a back side for that if you want to order that. But I'm going to change colors to green, something near this green here, and do this next part. So let's see how that works out. All right, now you can see the pretty cross hatching. I think in its simplicity, it has beauty. And I'm kind of getting away from those more elaborate flowery, the floral that I've done as far as the these fills, they're called, which this is a fill and this is a fill in here, this quilting. For something more simple, just maybe a stippling can be beautiful in its simplicity. But anyhow, that's another topic. Now we can finally let this piece of tape, take this off and let this piece of lining fall to the back. And let's take these pieces of tape off on the sides. And fold this down like this. And let's take tape this on the corners right down here and on the opposite corner over here. Hold it nice and taut, so it should work out fine. And we can also at this point take and remove this stabilizer. Now I use paper towels as my stabilizer because it's plentiful and easy to work with, and so I'm not telling you to use it or not use it. I'm just telling you what I do, and I've been using it for a number of years, and I'm satisfied with it as well as any other thing you can purchase. So we've removed the stabilizer from behind the zipper. We've now we're ready to do the next step, which will sew around and sew down the lining on the back. So let's do that, and I'll be right back. All right, let's turn this over to the back and make sure everything went according to plan. Yes, it did. It's sewn down beautifully. Let's turn it back to the front. First thing, let's open our zipper 3/4 of the way, like that. And let's take our little piece we made, or I made for the connector for a wristlet strap, and make sure you tape it down outside on the outside portion, and also absolutely make sure you tape down this metal key ring to keep it from flopping and getting under the presser foot, because that will not be good for your machine. Let me see. Now we need to take whatever is going to be your back piece of fabric, which is going to be the same as my front piece of fabric. And let's see. I think this is, well, wait a minute. Which is which? Is that right? I'm not even sure. I think that's, well, I don't know. I think this is right. So I'm going to take and put this over, making sure, covering what is already here, making sure that you are at least 1/4 of an inch above the top edge of the zipper, so I know that I am at least 1/4 inch over. And then take your piece of batting, the one that I said cut 7 by 11, and place it over that, what you just placed down. And I don't generally tape this down. I think it'll be fine. And I'm going to put this in the machine, and this will, we've moved our zipper in, which is the most important thing. This will sew around all 4 sides and basically enclose the bag. So let's run that, and I'll be back in a moment. All right, now you can see that the bag has been closed in, all 4 sides, and now we're going to take and turn it over. Turn the hoop over to the back for the very last step, and you're going to take whatever you've chosen as your lining fabric, which I've chosen this right here, my other piece of lining fabric, and place it face down over the lining fabric that's already there. And again, making sure you're at least 1/4 inch over the top, this top stitch line here for the zipper, and that you're okay on both sides also, which I am, and down at the bottom. And now take and tape down this piece of lining. And I'm almost out of tape, and I'm hoping, and I'm just doing small pieces. So now that's all taped down. Stick this back in your machine and run the last step, which is step 13, and I'll be right. All right, my camera died just as I was saying the last words, but I ran step 13, and it does a double, actually a bean stitch, which is kind of a double doubling of the, to reinforce around here. So that's done, and our sewing is completed, and we can take this out of the hoop. So let's do that. And let me see if there's any tape attached there. No. Any tape attached on that one? No. Okay. I always like to make sure tape's removed from my hoops. All right, now I'm going to take my scissors, and I always cut here from the lining side, and I'm going to go in at an angle and then turn and follow. Just follow up the side about 1/4 inch or so from the stitch line. I got 4 pair of Kai scissors for my birthday gift, and I love them. This is just so smooth and sharp. I've been wanting these, so that was my Christmas present. So when we get down here at the bottom, go around this last curve and take and go in at an angle again and just cut right up like that, and then just throw all this away. This is just junk, nothing here to save. And then from your lining, you've got your first piece of lining and then this odd second piece of lining, and take the rest of this. This is the stabilizer, the batting, the various fabrics, some more batting. Take your scissors and cut about I don't know, a 32nd of an inch maybe away from, just as long as you don't cut into the lining itself. but trim it very closely. And get rid of that. That's junk. Okay, and now let's take and turn this out. Okay, and it makes it so much easier when you don't use vinyl, even though I do like vinyl. It is more of a effort when you have vinyl. And all right, so that's turned out. I'm going to take my iron and give it a little press like that. Okay. Alrighty, and now what you need to do is take this shorter piece of lining and just fold it over, fold it in, and take and press it so it'll stay that way. And then take your second piece of lining and fold it in, making sure you push these corners over to the exterior side. This little tab thing that you create when you cut it at an angle. And there we are. Let's take and... Okay, there we are. Now we've got that all pressed down. Now you need to, where my thumbs are, you need to take this to the sewing machine and sew between where my thumbs are to close up this gap. So let's go and do that, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, I have sewn this. You can see, well, maybe you can see, maybe not. Okay, here you can see, of course, on this side. And let me trim off these stray threads. And there we are. Okay, now let's reach in and find that piece of tape that we taped down and bring that out, taped our key ring with. And now let's open our zipper as far as we can and turn the bag out and see what we've made. I really thought this was a beautiful design as I was creating it. I think it's probably lovely. Okay. 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 And this corner wants to be obstinate. All right. Okay. There we are. Okay. All right. Let's now take and mold with your fingers your zipper. Turn it, just massage it here to where it turns into the proper direction. So there we are. And close your zipper. And all right, we got that. That looks good. I think I'm going to take my pressing cloth and just give it a good press. And then, oh, that looks so nice. Turn it over and give that a press. I'm just going to, well, sometimes this beautiful gold stuff comes off, but I don't think it did. So I usually use a pressing cloth, but I forgot that when I did that. All right, let's look at that and see. What do you think? I think it's quite beautiful. I'm very pleased with it. And I want to thank you for being with me today as I created this. And if you obtain this pattern, the Angelique pattern, I hope you'll make something beautiful for yourself or a loved one. And I just always stop and thank those who continue to encourage and support me. It means more than you'll ever know. And thanks again. And This is the Monday after Christmas. I've got, I don't know, 10 or 12 more designs that are waiting just for me to make videos. And I do have coming a vertical bag, 6 by 10. It's just a matter of getting it out. So that is coming for the people who wanted a vertical bag. It does not have 2 zippers. It only has 1 zipper. I haven't figured out how to do the 2 zippers, but I'm sure it'll come to me at some point. But I'm starting out with just a 1 zipper vertical bag. So anyhow, that you can use as a crossbody bag. So that's that, and thank you again, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.